issues. We are fortunate tonight to have our very own CEO of the Sherwood Chamber of Commerce, Lana Painter, as our moderator for tonight's forum. Turn it over to Lana now.
I wrote that line for him. I know. We appreciate the willingness of the candidates to be here tonight. I would like to thank our Sherwood Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, of course, David Buswell, Dan Kutsky, and Jill Richard, as well as Keith Mays is all on our board. So I appreciate all of their help with the evening, for this evening. Also, I'd like to recognize the elected officials that won't be speaking tonight, but that are here, Renee Browse and Kim Young. Thank you so much for being here. We have a limited time this evening to address questions, so I request that we refrain from applause during the forum to provide for as much time as possible to hear from our candidates. In the back of the room, we do have a table area for you to write down a question for consideration of answering in tonight's event. There are also tables in the back with information on our Washington County Chair candidates. Here's a brief overview of our process this evening. We will have the candidates running for mayor and city council seats introduce themselves first, and the candidates will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves. All right, so Mayor Keith Mays, would you please begin the evening with an introduction? And you have 3 minutes, but again, you don't have to use all those 3 minutes.
Thank you, Lana. Yes, my name is Keith Mays. I'm running for re-election after just running for election. As we have done for the last few months, we want to continue. I want to work with this council and our community to continue to restore faith, rebuild relationships within the community, and effective partnerships. Ensure that we become a regional leader that we can all be proud of. We need to look to ensure that we're providing high-quality services for all residents and businesses through strong relationships and innovation in a physically responsible manner. And I appreciate you being here, watching from home, the county. I'll talk more about that, but be sure to vote. Voting is important for local and national issues. So.
Thank you, Keith Mays. And now we will have Russell Griffin.
Thanks, Lana. I'm Russell Griffin, and so I'm also running for election this time. And I came to Sherwood 21 years ago, and really, I had small kids, went through the school district. At some point, I got interested in government. I really didn't know what was going on in the city of Sherwood. But there was a lot happening, 15 years ago. So I got involved with the Planning Commission. I did that for nearly 8 years, thoroughly enjoyed it, and then decided to, throw my hat into the ring, applied to get on city council. So I think it's my third time on city council, technically, but because I was appointed and then
this is the third and you're running for your fourth?
I think so. I'm almost tied with you, right? So,
but you did it in a year.
I did it in a year, in a matter of months. It's got to be a record of some sort. But like the mayor said, I have some of the exact same interests that the mayor does. It's all about, in a very fiscal, responsible, open, transparent manner, my goal is to continue to have Sherwood be a great place to live, a great place to have a business, a great place to locate a business, a great place to raise a family, and that we are not all necessarily followers, but that we are, whenever we can, to think outside the box, and we become leaders, and we do things that are maybe a little bit different because for us it's the right thing to do. And I really believe that we're out here in the corner. It's nice kind of being out here in the corner, and I think that gives us an opportunity to do things the way that we really think we should. Whatever's best for the citizens. So anyway, I agree with Mayor Mays. Please vote for whomever, but get out and vote and be a part of the process. And that's it. Thank you. Oh, I lose that contest, don't I? I was not the shortest person. Okay, so it's up.
I knew you didn't have a chance.
Up to somebody else. So,
Thank you.
Well said.
Tim Rosner.
Thank you. Well, first, I just want to say thank you to Lana and the Chamber for setting this up. Had a lot of fun the last time we did this when we were running in the special election back in March. Like Russell, I've already been sworn in twice in less than a year, and will be since I'm running unopposed. We all are. We've sworn in 3 times in less than a year, so it's been quite the interesting ride. I think
we need to reach out to June Reynolds and have a special chapter for you too.
That's right.
In the history books of Sherwood.
History books of Sherwood. For those that are not familiar with me, my family originally moved to the Sherwood area back in 1976. I actually went to Newburgh schools. We were in that weird zone where we had a Sherwood address, but went to Newburgh schools. But Sherwood's always been a home for me, and me and my wife moved here into the city limits in 1998. And we're raising our kids here right now, and we just love this area. A little bit more on my background. I spent most of my career selling software and services to local government, counties and cities, all in I think about 35 states. So I spent a long time on that side of the fence, helping cities out, helping them run their water departments, planning, zoning, finance, payroll, all those areas. So it's been a lot of fun for me to be on the other side of the fence, working with the city and kind of bringing that knowledge and experience to bear as we set policy for our staff and for our community as we move forward. In terms of my priorities, I'll start with a couple of things. Mayor Mays touched on this. Economic development's a big issue for us. We have, a lot of people don't know this, but we have 20,000 people living in Sherwood. Just a little over 700 people actually live and work in Sherwood. We're definitely heavily tilted toward residential. So part of my goal is to really start working on how do we foster an environment that makes it really attractive for businesses to come into our community with family wages, so people have the opportunity to live and work here. That has a lot of benefits. One, cuts down on the commute. I used to commute into downtown Portland. That was a lot of fun. I don't have to do that anymore. But it also brings balance to our tax base because it's a lot more expensive to provide city services to residential areas as it compares to commercial and industrial areas. So I think that's very important. Another area I'm going to be very focused on as we move forward to is public safety and safety on our roads. Our transportation system in Sherwood is being stressed right now. We have a lot of traffic and we're having a lot of safety issues. I believe in the cities we have some significant hot spots. Lana's telling me I have 15 seconds. So I'll be working on that. So last thing, please vote. Even though we're running unopposed up here, there's a lot of other races that are very important, and I encourage everyone out there to learn the candidates and measures, learn their candidates, and vote. It's important. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rosner.
I like the sign, by the way.
Thank you. Wait until you
Yes.
see my time. All right, Doug Scott.
Hi, my name is Doug Scott. I originally grew up not too far down the road from here in Hubbard. Moved here with my wife and my 3 children about 10 years ago. Love Sherwood. This is our home. We plan to be here for the foreseeable future. From a work standpoint, my professional career, I started in software engineering. I worked in that career my whole 20 plus years. Most recently now I'm working as a product manager for in business intelligence and analytics software. Focusing real quick on, I'm currently also on the Planning Commission, and I've previous experience on 2 other city boards as well as 2 boards and commissions under the school district over the past 5-6 years. Kind of sounding like a parrot now, but echoing what some of my other candidates up here have said, some of my focuses and priorities on council would be public safety. We have great crime records here. Our crime is really low. Our public safety is excellent. Our police force does an exceptional job. We were at a presentation a week or so ago. We have basically the same number of the same amount of people on our police force now that we did 15 years ago, and we're double the size. So they're doing an incredible job, but they're probably under-resourced. And we have a plan. We've been presented with some ideas on how we can supplement that. I think that's a priority so we can maintain the great public safety record that we continue to enjoy and our citizens really demand. Certainly, a school resource officer, additional detectives are a couple of the items that we could look at going forward. To echo what Mr. Rosner just said, tax diversity. Our tax base, plain and simple, is very heavily skewed residential. That is somewhat unstable, and as he mentioned, is also prone toward costing more in services than it brings in revenue. We need to diversify our property tax base through commercial and particularly industrial and employment tax bases. So we need to focus on strategies that we can do that. And it's not a quick fix. This is going to take time, but we need to start doing that work now. Thirdly, transportation. So we need to work with our friends at the county and our friends at the state and in the city, of course, to improve our transportation infrastructure. That's the key to everything. That's the key. We know growth is going to happen, whether it's happened slow or fast, it's going to happen, and we need to have the right transportation infrastructure in place to support not only our current needs, but also the growth that we know is coming. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for being here this evening and sharing. So if the three candidates running for council, if you guys want to step down, and then I believe Keith Mays is going to have a few words.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight and those watching remotely, as I mentioned. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting tonight's forum. The Chamber is not only an asset to our businesses here in Sherwood, but also to our community. They offer these types of events so our citizens can become informed, more informed. Thank you, Lana and the board, for your dedication tonight. Both the candidates running for Washington County Chair of our Washington County Commission Chair are here tonight. Thank you, Commissioner Bob Terry and Metro Councilor Kathryn Harrington, for coming out to Sherwood and allowing our residents to become better informed and learning more about each of you. I will turn it back to Lana so we can begin hearing more from the candidates.
All right, so if you will, please, Metro Councilor Kathryn Harrington and Commissioner Bob Terry, come on up. And while you're finding your seats, I believe the mic should be on, so we'll be good there.
So are they, oh. We'll adjust.
Just kind of explain the rest of the evening and the format. Each candidate will have an introduction of 3 minutes, similar to what our city councilors had. We have flipped a coin earlier to determine the order in which our speakers will address you. I will signal respondents with how much time they're remaining with the great sign that Tim Rosner left earlier. We will politely but effectively signal a speaker to end the comments at the time limit. We then will have questions decided by a committee beforehand, so we'll be asking a few questions, and then we'll also have time for some community questions. If you do have a question that you'd like to submit, that is in the back, and we would really welcome you to do that. And Dan will be checking throughout the evening for the community questions. Each candidate will respond to each question within 2 minutes, and they will take turns on who goes first. So based on the coin toss, Kathryn Harrington, you get to go first with your introduction. So if you'd like to begin, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Lana, and to the board of the Sherwood Chamber of Commerce for pulling this all together so that we have an opportunity to be before the residents of the city of Sherwood. I'm Kathryn Harrington. I'm running to be the next chair of the Washington County Board of Commissioners. And I'd like to have the opportunity to introduce myself to you and to better explain why it is that I have chosen to run to be your chair. I grew up in the military, which meant I lived in various parts of the country in rural and suburban communities. Then, nearly 30 years ago, high-tech jobs brought me and my husband to Washington County. You don't need me to tell you what a tremendously beautiful place we live in. There are few places where cutting-edge technology bump elbows with historic family farms and nurseries, but Washington County is one of these places. As an employee of both large-scale and small-scale tech firms, I've seen how companies experience the challenges and opportunities in their work. But more importantly, I've seen how working families are impacted as companies boom and bust. And with that, I chose in 2004 to step back from my career in high tech in order to give back to the community that has given me so much. Here in Washington County, the growth of industry has given us so many opportunities. But with that growth, we've also experienced challenges: traffic congestion, skyrocketing home and rental prices, as well as strains on our public services. And I know that the city of Sherwood has experienced this as well. I've been really honored to work for you these last 10 years as an elected Metro councilor. With that, I've had the pleasure of reinvesting in downtowns to support small businesses, to grow jobs in our communities. And I've worked to shape the growth of our communities in a manner that serves our way of life. I've championed transportation improvements, including funding for safe routes to schools so that kids can walk and bike safely, as well as other transportation solutions that reduce congestion and carbon pollution. I've also worked to preserve the family farms and nurseries, the rural area that surround our communities throughout Washington County. I know that the next chair of the Board of Commissioners will need to shape our opportunities for the benefit of all, navigate our challenges so that no one is left behind, and to preserve what is so special about Washington County today. I'm Kathryn Harrington. I'm ready to guide Washington County forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Bob Terry.
Thank you very much. I'm proud to be, I feel like I've been connected to Sherwood now for almost 30 years, as previously I owned the farm just down the street on Roy Roger Road that now has Al's Garden Center on it, and as I understand is now going to soon become part of our sister city over next door to us here at King City. And I always thought it would become part of Sherwood, frankly, because we always had a Sherwood address and we always said, well, we're in Sherwood. So but it's fun to see how the county does evolve and how the community evolves around it. This community is pretty amazing the way it has evolved, and it's done a great job and stayed with the traffic and stayed with everything that you've done here. Updating your downtown area is just phenomenal. But a little bit about myself. I'm from the lower part of Missouri, from St. Louis, which most people think of it being in the middle of Missouri, but the area I came from, we still said St. Louis, kind of like we called the farm Sherwood. And it was really, really close to the Mason-Dixon line, actually, where I lived and raised. I went into the Navy. I am a veteran of the USS America, Naval Air, and proud to have served my time during Vietnam and served it well and very proudly. So however you may vote, I support that you can vote and you have the right to vote. That's the reason why I went into service, so we could do those things. With that being said, I have been not only associated here with Sherwood, but also with the county for over 20 years, as I was on the budget committee for 12 years prior to becoming a commissioner. Have stood on several different committees in the county as the county grew, and also with Clean Water Services, started 3 different committees for the county. Those committees are still in service and in work today. I'm very proud the way our county has grown and worked with the cities. You know, it's one of the things that I want to continue to do as your chair. It would be my desire to see us meet monthly with your mayors, as we have, and try to coordinate the county better with the cities, so when the growth takes place in the cities and the county, that the mayors are very touched in, and so are your cities. That's a big program, and it's a very successful one, and I certainly want to see it continue as we go. So with that, you know, traffic is always an issue, and it's congestion is one of the big issues. As I go around and knock on doors, then the biggest thing I hear is, number one thing I hear is congestion and traffic. What I have done for the county is we're putting in an ITS system, and I think 12th and just signed on to it through an IGA. I know Tualatin did this week, and I think Sherwood is in line to do it pretty quick. A lot of that is coming your way quicker than in other ways because of the Basalt Creek development here next to you that I think you're just part of. And that's the intelligent traffic signaling system that will eventually coordinate every stoplight in Washington County. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. So now each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each of the following questions. And we'll have you begin, Bob Terry. Transportation bottlenecks are all around Sherwood. Major projects committed to by our county years ago have seen long delays, with only 1/24 under construction. Residents are not happy with these extended delays. Even with the still pending projects on Tualatin-Sherwood Road, Rogers Road, and the roundabout by our new high school, when can we expect improvements to other failed county roads like Elwert, Edie, and the dangerous roller coaster that is Tonquin Road?
Sherwood certainly has had its share of issues in the roads right here directly. I remember when Six Corners used to be here, and we thought we improved from that when we cut it down to just being 4 corners. But as Sherwood has grown and the area has grown, then the problems crept back in. I think, as you well know, Sherwood and the county are working together in a lawsuit to get Tualatin-Sherwood Road and the Roy Rogers Road completed. Right now, we're both being held up by this lawsuit because the movie theater and the people on the property over there don't want us to improve that corner the way we would like to have it improved. We are in lockstep with your city on improving that corner, and I certainly want to see that done. I travel through there quite a bit, and it is very badly needed. As to the other issues in the roundabouts, I think the roundabout money, as I understand, is to be done by the MSCIP money, and that will be in the next round. And that's the best I can tell you because it isn't certainly not just the chair's decision. When you're dealing with some of the roads like 99, you're dealing with the state government, and they absolutely control it. The county nor the city has very little to say about Highway 99, and that's unfortunate. But we are asking the state to join us in our IGA so we can coordinate the lights on 99 as well as the roads that are intersecting with Highway 99. They've agreed to do that, but like most things with the state, it's a process. And that process is underway, and hopefully that'll be completed fairly quickly. We expect the coordination of the stoplights to take place within the next 2.5 to 3 years because it's a big, big project, and you have to build a very large system that doesn't exist today. But we're already 2.5 years into it. And as soon as we get the IGA signed and the system built, which is in testing right now, we will be able to help those things a lot. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Now, Kathryn.
On that same question regarding the delay in these road projects, I understand your frustration. We have many projects that were planned in this current active MSTIP, Major Streets Transportation Improvement Program cycle, that have been delayed, but more so in this portion of the county than in others. I can't explain why it seems to many in this area of the county, not only Sherwood, but also in Tualatin and Tigard, why they feel that they are ignored and the needs of the community have not been addressed as fully as those further to the north in Washington County. I can't explain that right now, but I do know that all of you in Washington County deserve to have the attention not only of your district commissioner, but also of the full board. All of the 4 district commissioners are elected by voters in their district to make county-wide decisions. And I think it's high time that all 4 of the district commissioners embrace that responsibility, in addition to the chair serving everyone in Washington County. We work for you. I embody that. That's why I've been familiar with all of the cities in the metropolitan area in my work over the last 10 years, but particularly here for all of the communities of Washington County. I want to work for you so that things will get better for you and that you and your families will have to spend less time on the road and spend more time together doing the things that you enjoy in life. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. All right, and now the second question, and we'll just go back and forth on who begins. When will the county stop being in the business of urban services, specifically getting out of the business of building and supporting unincorporated neighborhoods?
Thank you for the question. So as you may know, I've been a member of the Metro Council now for 11 and a half years. In 2010, we changed our requirements, updating them so that as there are expansions to the urban growth boundary, those expansions have to be supported by cities. That means that we have stopped the growth of urban unincorporated areas geographically. Now, not all of those areas are built out yet, so there will continue to be growth in the urban unincorporated areas, just as there are expected to be additional residents in each of the cities that make up Washington County. That is just one tool. The other is the full board just needs to face the reality that they can't continue to provide urban scale services. Instead, the county general fund has to be focused on county-wide services. And the folks in the existing urban unincorporated areas deserve to know what it is they're missing by not being parts of the city. I have been providing that explanation to the urban unincorporated residents of my Metro District area, District 4, which is North and Westerly Washington County, which includes Aloha, Bethany, Cedar Mill, Cedar Hills, Raleigh Hills, West Slope, just to name a few. I believe that people deserve the truth, and that's just how I try to work. Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you.
Well, that's very good because I certainly believe in the truth too. So while we're throwing the eggs over the fence, the truth is that Metro actually controls a lot more than what's being admitted and is being blamed on the county. It's not that way at all. The county has worked evenly, and in fact, the South End has actually received more of the MSTIP money over the last 20 years than the northern part of the county has. You've seen more new roads in the northern part because there's been more growth up in the northern part than there is in the southern part, and that new growth is mostly paid for by the development as those developments take place. In addition to that, we, the county, have home rule, and we, the county, chose to change the rules and change the laws so that as cities develop, the land goes into the city and then the cities develop them, not the county. And the reason for that was to stop the very question that you asked as to when will the county get out of that business. The last one that really forced the county out of that business was the Metro handed us hundreds of acres up in North Bethany, and we are still wrestling with as developing it. And it was a project that the Metro Council handed to us to do. We soon recognized that we did not belong in that business. It was better handled by the city. So now we have another very, very large area that is going to be part of the rural part of, and is today part of the rural part of Washington County. We don't like it, we don't want it, but there's also a rule that we can't cherry stem and can't put it into Beaverton or to Hillsborough, which would make a lot more sense. So the county is developing it. It's not a position we want to be in, and we don't see it as our job to be a city manager providing city services. We actually like providing the county services that we're very good at, such as your libraries, your road, and most of your road maintenance. But again, when a road goes into the city, it also becomes the city's responsibility, and we turn that road over to the city after we've made the necessary repairs to do that. So it's not a simple fact, so I just ask you to pay close attention to the typical political rhetoric. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We talk about Washington County as the economic engine of Oregon, with companies like Intel and Nike. But for all of that, small business remains the heart and soul of our economy. Note that also we are experiencing historically low employment, such as 3.1 and 3.5%, depending on where you are in Washington County. What role should the county take to bolster small business, and what role should the county take to increase the pipeline of employees for small business?
I think that Washington County actually has done a fairly good job of that. We do work with Workforce, which is a state provided, but the county runs and works with those Workforce at PCCU to manage that workforce. And we do a good job at it. And as far as the small businesses coming into the county, you'd be surprised how many small businesses are here because of those larger businesses. There are more employees that work for the small businesses in Washington County than work for the Intels, Nikes, Columbia Sportswear, and the like. And the small businesses support them. So I think one of the things that we need to do to help provide that is we have the Gain Share program, the SIP SIP program, that has been used to help develop the county through Nike and through Intel and Genentech and some of the other larger businesses. I think that kind of program should be shrunk down to also help small businesses get started and expand. And it can be done. We've looked at it at the county. We've talked about it. We haven't taken any action on it at this point because it does require the state to work with us in that endeavor, and they haven't shown an interest in doing that so far. I think it's something that should be pushed through so that we can develop smaller businesses, family businesses in the county more easily than it is today. As we all know, it's not easy to get a business loan to start a small business. I know that personally. And it's very difficult to get bankers to go along with you in small businesses than it is to larger businesses. So I think the county should step up to that. I'm all in favor of that. But you also have to remember, when you bring in businesses, as we have in the county, right now there are 28 people per day moving into Washington County. That only adds to the congestion and the issues that we already have. The county is working very hard to manage those, and we talk about the cities outside and being managing cities that are like the District 4, my district. If it was a city, it would be the second largest city in the state of Oregon. So we need to be careful how we do grow and how we expand and what we ask for. Because we've asked for growth, we've got it, and now we can't stop it. You can't tell people you can't move to Washington County. They're coming, whether we want to do it or not, because of the way the county has run and provided services and provided for the county and the residents of the county. And that's very important. So we want to continue to do that. Thank you very much.
So to your question, there were two parts. What is the role of the county to support small businesses and then also help with the pipeline of employees for small business, particularly as we have a tight labor market? So I know that the cities are in the role of economic development. I'm not a proponent of the county expanding its role and responsibilities. But I do believe that the county can and should be a better partner for the cities as well as to the chambers that the cities work very closely with. There may be programs that Washington County can partner with the cities. I also want to see that Washington County improves its policies and procurement practices to help support minority women and emerging small businesses as well as veteran-owned businesses, also known here as co-bid firms, formerly MWESB. The county does have contracts of various sizes, and right now the county is doing the minimal required by state law of posting those contracts on the state system called ORPIN. The Washington County has not been present at the various meet and greet forums that have been set up in partnership between cities and Metro throughout and chambers throughout Washington County that help pair up different service businesses with the various aspects of government who have these contracts available, putting your tax dollars at work. But beyond that, I don't think that Washington County should be expanding its role in economic development, rather working more closely with those who are closer to it, the cities and the chambers. With regard to the pipeline of labor, as my opponent described, Washington County does have a role with Work Systems, Inc., and should continue to play that role.
Thank you so much. What do you think are the top 2 challenges facing Washington County over the next 10 years?
I get to go first on this one. Thank you very much for asking. Transportation improvements is a very significant problem here throughout Washington County and the metropolitan region, as it is in every other metropolitan area of our country. And the biggest problem is with regard to transportation funding. For all types of solutions, we're going to need to work together to ensure that we're growing the dollars available for our improvements here. The problem is that the federal government isn't investing in roadways as it once did, and the state has many challenges as well. So it's incumbent upon us to work together. And that's no small task. We're going to have to work throughout each of our communities to figure out what solutions are needed in various places of our county. And it's going to take us a few years of working together on that to collect those dollars and then put them into practice. Then I believe that we have a challenge now to address, and that is for affordable housing, in addition to continuing to ensure that we foster growth of our communities, such as the community of Sherwood, in a manner that serves your way of life. I really respect the fact that the mayor and the city council chose to not apply for an urban growth boundary expansion this year, because there are pieces to the growth management puzzle that aren't in place yet for this community. On the affordable housing front, I am pleased that I was able to work with experts throughout our area, as well as my colleagues, to sponsor a property tax measure on your ballot this November, so that we can ensure that we are providing additional housing for our seniors, folks who are disabled, and our lower wage workers who are struggling to keep up with rising rents. And I hope along with that you will support Measure 102 as well.
Well, thank you very much. And you have some very good questions for what you're asking for the county to do. And it's always proud to be able to say that the county is working in every one of those areas regularly. And your county has done a very good, excellent job in what it's doing today and has done in the past. I want to make sure we continue along that way. And the Measure 102 always brings to mind to me what is really being asked. And I ask that you take a very close look at that, because it's going to be very, very expensive for you. And the only thing that's being reported to you on Measure 102 is the fact that it's going to cost you about $60 to $80, we don't know, $60 to $80 per $100,000 on your house. That's very misleading, because it's going to cost you and your city a lot more than that. Currently, the county is providing more affordable housing than that measure is going to provide over the next 30 years. We are this year providing over 1,300 units of new homes, new affordable housing for the residents of Washington County. That is being done with no tax increase to you, none, zero. We've been able to do that because we do it in a public-private partnership. And your Measure 102, which is to allow the metro not to end up like Portland, where they passed a measure of $275 million. Now they can't spend the money because of some of the rules that they didn't follow that are in place. I don't have a problem with Measure 102, but I do have a problem with the affordable housing that Metro is planning that comes along with it, which is not necessary. Along that same main line, Washington County has taken care of your roads through the MSTIP program. I challenge you to go to any other county surrounding Washington County and come out of that county into this county and tell me that our roads aren't better, because they are. I travel in and out all the time with four places we can travel in and out of Washington County, and our roads are better here in Washington County, and you see us working every day. This end of the county has actually received a lot of benefit. You've got 124th Street, you have the basalt area that's being redone, you have several other areas where we have redone the roads in them, and it's been to your advantage to do. So I ask you to look at what's really going on, what's really happening around you. Your county works hard for you and has for many, many years. I want to see us continue to working hard for you and working in a direction that is in your benefit and not in a bunch of political benefits or people who doesn't count. We do this through public-private partnerships, and we want to continue to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We've taken questions from the audience tonight, so we'll begin using those questions. There will still be 2 minutes to answer them, so we'll have Bob Terry begin. But for Washington County Commissioners, please describe your role as a commissioner and how you can make a difference in the community you are serving.
Thank you very much. I have played a very important role as a commissioner in Washington County. I have done more for the smaller communities, such as Sherwood, and when you look at Banks and you look at cities beyond Banks, and you look at North Plains, you look at Gaston, you look at Forest Grove, Cornelius, those are all small communities similar to Sherwood, and I have seen to it that the county has put more revenue and more resources into those cities than any other. The other thing that I have done has been a very big issue for me is mental health. And that's one of the things I would have mentioned as to one of the things the county needs to continue to do. We started, and I was a very large part of it, starting the Hawthorne Farms walk-in clinic. And I don't know if you know what that is or not, but you know, when the state dumped all the mental health people onto the roads and out in the streets with no place to go, it was up to the counties to pick that up. We've done a very good job in Washington County. We now have the Hawthorne Farms walk-in clinic, where those people can go there and get medication, get service, get cleaned up. And we're talking about the people who are on the streets and who are living in tents. We do help them. We help get them. Once they come in, though, they have to agree to go through the county services to find permanent residence and to find permanent jobs. Fact is, some of them don't want to do it no matter what you do. The other purpose of that clinic was to take the mental health, and instead of putting them in jails, was to bring them there so they can get services through LifeWorks, Luthdorf, and several of the other nonprofit organizations that we have in Washington County that works as our partners. I have a very difficult district because it would be the unincorporated area. My district would be the second largest district in the state of Oregon, and I have worked with the people out in the rural areas to bring them into the urban area and worked at the urban area so they understand the rural areas. I've done a very good job of that, and I'm proud of what I have done on that, and I want to continue to do that in the entire county and working with the cities and working with the counties around us, and including Metro. Thank you very much.
Could you repeat the question, please?
I sure can. For Washington County Commissioners, please describe the role as a commissioner and how you can make a difference in the community that you will serve.
Great, thank you. So your Washington County government is made up of the chair and 4 district commissioners. The role of the county government, and it is the county board does hire a professional administrator, but at the end of the day, the 5 members of your commission are responsible for all of county government, and on the commission, they report to you. The county government takes care of general administrative services like running elections for the whole county, property tax assessments for the whole county, zoning for the rural areas, as well as making sure there's money for the county jail, which all of the cities in our county use, and is run by the independently elected sheriff, Sheriff Garrett. Also making sure there's money for the courts, which are elected district attorneys take care of. But then there are also other services that, in my opinion, the conservative majority of our county commission has made sure that they pretty much do the absolute minimum that is required by both state and the federal government, as well as providing for solutions via partnerships throughout Washington County, such as limited housing solutions, and that includes for our homeless members of our community. As you well know, here in Washington County, most of that support has been left up to the cities, churches, and nonprofits throughout Washington County. There are also limited health and human services Then also the board is responsible for 3 unique areas: the county roads that we've talked about a lot here, the zoning for the urban unincorporated areas, as well as the commission is the board for clean water services, our stormwater and sewerage agency for the county.
Thank you. Sherwood's population is approaching 20,000, of which less than 800 actually live and work in Sherwood. Most of our citizens commute to the major work centers in Portland and Hillsborough on roads that have not seen material capacity upgrades in almost 30 years. As county chair, what would you do to promote economic development in Sherwood, the type of growth that would allow more Sherwoodians to live and work in our community?
Well, as we've heard from your mayor and your city council candidates, they're working to help improve the economic development program here in the city. And I believe that Washington County should support the city's efforts in doing just that. But also, as we all know, traffic connectivity is very difficult here in the city of Sherwood. We can provide housing solutions in various communities here in Washington County, but at the end of the day, people decide where they're going to live. There may be a mix of housing types that would warrant additional improvement here within the city, but that is for the city council to really sort through and work through in terms of the zoning, as supported by private development, developers of all types, whether we're talking about mixed-use buildings where there's commercial downstairs and housing above, or in standalone or attached neighborhoods as well. So I think to the heart of your question on economic development, as the mayor and the city council talked about, wanting to ensure that there are more business opportunities here in Sherwood and making sure that the county does a good job of supporting that, and as well as supporting the city's continued efforts in providing for additional housing opportunities here in Sherwood.
Could you state the question again, please?
Absolutely. Sherwood's population is approaching 20,000, of which less than 800 actually live and work in Sherwood. Most of the citizens commute to the major work centers in Portland and Hillsborough on roads that have not seen material capacity upgrades in almost 30 years. As county chair, what would you do to promote economic development in Sherwood, the type of growth that would allow more Sherwoodians to live and work in our community?
For one, I would very certainly support Sherwood and more industrial land so that you can have jobs out here. Currently, you don't have that much industrial land where you're going to be getting a little bit out of the Basalt Creek area, but there's not that much here now. And the only way you can get more jobs in here is if you have lands large enough that can house commercial development, and I certainly support that. As far as working with the mayor and the city council, that's why we have 2 meetings a month, where one meeting is just with the chair and the mayors, and the other meeting is with the chair, or appointed by the chair, and it's called the WCCC, which includes Metro at that table, and also the TriMet, and all the city mayors or city representatives are at that seat. And the purpose of that is so we can work together to work on these kind of issues that your question addresses. You know, I don't want the rhetoric get away, but I got to tell you that some of the things I hear is being said that we need to do, got to do, have to do in a county either are being done or have been done or are in a process of being done. But the one thing your county has not done, and that is created debt. You have no general obligation debt in your county today. Your county has not raised your taxes, the county portion of the taxes, in over 20 years. And I have been on the budget committee for the county now for 20 years. 12 years as a citizen, and then 8 years as a commissioner. We haven't raised your taxes. I don't want to see them get raised, but I want to continue to grow and have the kind of things that you're asking for here this evening without raising your taxes whenever possible. I will tell you that Metro Council, since my opponent has been sitting on the Metro Council, has raised their spending by 112%, from 360 something million to over 680 million. And taken on a lot of debt. I don't want to see that happen to our county. We may not get as much as we want, as fast as we want, but we do need to measure what we do and what we take on at your expense. And I want to see us continue to take on your expense, anything that you're going to be charged for as expense, to make certain you get your dollar's worth out of it. Thank you.
What would you do to improve the relationship between the city of Sherwood, its residents, and Washington County?
My turn?
It is your turn. I know.
Yeah. Well, I think we do a fairly good job of that, but you can always do more. The county does have CPO program, and what we have done in some areas where, in my district, such as in Forest Grove, such as in Cornelius, and now we are working in the banks of creating a new one, and that's a CPO program. Most of the cities have a similar city program as to the CPOs, but they haven't been very well attended, as some of the CPOs have not. So I was very instrumental in restructuring and reorganizing our CPO program. We have this year now combined ourselves with the city of Forest Grove and created a new one for Cornelius, because they had none at all. And we are in the process now of organizing one for the city of Banks, so that we can participate more closely with what the cities want and what the citizens want and what they hear and what they understand. This is an open program where you can come to the county and discuss issues openly. It used to be the only things discussed was development and land use issues, but now we've opened it up to everything, and we have monthly programs where you can request to hear something, and we bring somebody out from the city or the county to do that. I go and attend our CPOs on a regular basis so that I can answer and live and be direct with the citizens of my district. I would want to do that same thing in a county. I think it's very important that I, as a chairman of the county, would be as active as your mayor is here in this city. That would be a goal of mine to do, so that's how we can help. And there's a lot of things that the county does do. The citizens don't recognize it, don't know it, and it's just because we haven't always been able to reach them the way we would like to through normal channels. Today we have a modern way of doing things through the net system, and we want to continue to expand on that and do a better job of communicating with our residents as well as we can. Thank you.
So there were two aspects to your questions. Improving the relationship with the city as well as with residents. I was pleased that in my first 4 years as an elected official under the first Metro Council president that I worked with, we came and had multiple Metro Council meetings here in the city of Sherwood. I think that Washington County's Board of Commissioners needs to hold its meetings in various parts of the county and not be hosting them solely in the city of Hillsborough, where the county seat is. I think that's an important role for the Board of Commissioners to ensure that's happening. That will give both all of you on the City Council who volunteer, and as well as the mayor, who volunteer your time and energy serving your community, for you to see the board in action and to communicate with us. I also go to each of the city councils in my district at least 3 times a year, as well as to CPO meetings. And I, as your chair, I would welcome meeting with you in your work sessions, in your formal business meetings, whatever works for you. I'm known for being out in the community throughout my metro district, North and Western Washington County, because I work for the community members, and it's my job to be out there. But I also answer my own phone and answer my own emails as well. Folks are often surprised by that, but after all, I work for you. So those are some of the things that I would want to do as your elected chair, and that I would want to see the other 4 members who would be my colleagues as well do, serving you as well. Thank you.
What are your thoughts regarding solutions for the growing homeless issue?
Thank you for that question. People are homeless for a whole variety of reasons. For some, such as our seniors, they may have been evicted from their apartments, or they maybe couldn't keep up with increasing rent. For others, they may have had a medical incident and got behind on the bills. Different people have different reasons for becoming homeless. So we have folks who are homeless today. We also have students who are couch surfing, living with relatives, multiple families living together, trying to make ends meet. And they don't have stable housing either. We also have many people who are one rent increase away from losing their stable housing. It's one reason why I, as a Metro Councilor, after working with many in the community, have chosen to put a measure before you, the voters, to see if you would be willing to invest your money in a very reasonable property tax measure, so that that's measure 26-199, so that along with measure 102, we would be able to provide homes for another 12,000 people here throughout our region. This is a regional problem. No one city has the capacity to do this on their own. A lot of us have experienced families that we know having difficulties themselves or with their seniors or with fellow students. You see it in your classrooms. So that's one solution. We can't be pushing this burden on any further on the churches and nonprofits in our community. We need to help them and make our communities better. Thank you.
It's a very interesting perspective to that question, because the rhetoric, again, is running wild, because we don't push anything in the county onto churches and our nonprofits. They come to us willingly, and we do help support them. But what it does do is it saves you a lot of money, because those issues are being handled. The homeless issue is being handled quite well in Washington County. I think the only city, and maybe perhaps two cities, that are bordering on the edge of Portland have some issues with more issues than the rest of the county does, with people living on the streets in tents and in blue housing, which is very unfortunate. We're working very hard in the county to keep it cleaned up. We do help the cities clean it up. And I know out in Hillsborough, the Hillsborough is the county seat, and that's why the county seat is there. If you go moving the county board around, the Board of Commissioners moving it around, that creates a lot of issues and a lot of expense that you really don't need, because there's a lot of staff that has to move with that. I think you need to ask the question is, how many meetings, board meetings, are held by Metro Council at Portland? I think that's a big number, all of them. So why didn't Metro Council move around? Because of the same reason the county can't move around. It's a great wish, and it'd be something we'd like to do, but legally it creates additional problems with staff and with what it costs to do that. Getting back to the homeless issue, though, Washington County does manage the homeless. It's part of the walk-in clinic as far, and it's also what we have put in service in the jail system, which handles all the county, for those with mental illness and mental issues, so that we can service them in the jail when it's necessary for them to be there. Otherwise, our nonprofit organizations stand by ready to help with those people who are willing to let us help them. And we do support some of that. Where it saves you a lot of money is that the people who are working in those systems don't require PERS. Your county does not have a big debt in PERS. Our PERS is current, and we do have a reserve for that PERS. Yes, it's owed, because it's owed every year, because you pay a year after you accrue it. So your county has done a pretty good job, and we appreciate your support in allowing us to do a good job for you. Thank you.
What is your hope for how Washington County will look like in the next 20 years?
My hope Washington County will look like perhaps a Jetson city. Remember the Jetsons? I'd like to see it look like the Jetson city, you know. And who knows what may come in the next 20 years. I know the question has come up many, many times as to how are we going to handle the growth that's coming and what changes are we going to make as a county commissioner to handle those changes. My answer to that is pretty simple. We have been doing that for over 20 or 30 years, because I remember when I first moved here, the city of Hillsborough, for example, was just barely over 40,000 people. Now it's going over 100,000 people, and it's the second largest city, and it's the largest city in the county. So we have continued to manage our growth and continue to move forward, and I want to continue to see us do that and help us do that with a vision of getting help from Metro and the state in order to do that. Part of your congestion and problems with transportation here in in Sherwood comes from the fact that we cannot put roads through rural reserve areas. So we can't get any roads in and out that aren't already available to us and being used in areas where we can build roads. And if you widen and add lanes to a road, you have to have a place for that traffic to go at the other ends of those roads. So you do that. We're doing it on a regular basis. You see what we're doing with 124th. You see what we did with Boone's Ferry. We are working on 99, but again, 99 takes state help. So those are the things I want to see us do and have accomplished, where we do have better transportation we have today. Just getting all the stoplights in Washington County will improve that congestion, eliminate congestion and pollution immensely. So if you can imagine having all the traffic lights signalized so you can move through, and we are working on that currently, and that will be completed in about 2.5 to 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you for asking me about my vision for Washington County, but more specifically as it relates to the city of Sherwood. As you've heard from me, I very much support the work of our cities to handle future population growth in a manner that serves your way of life. And this is one of the key topics that is of concern for your mayor and your city councilors. As you heard them speak about earlier, economic development is really a significant challenge that they're working on. How to ensure that there are good jobs and opportunities here in the city of Sherwood for not only the people who live here today, but for future generations. But I know they're also concerned about housing and how to make sure that here in the community of Sherwood, that it is a place not only for young families, but people of all ages. But once again, the county, in my belief, needs to do so by supporting the city and the visions of the residents and the government, the city government that serves the residents of Sherwood. I'm proud of the opportunity to continue to partner with Sherwood on that, just as I did as a Metro councilor, as your mayor knows, in leading the Urban and Rural Reserve Solution in a manner that serves the city of Sherwood's visions. But not only do we need to make sure we work together on employment and economic development opportunities and housing, but also on transportation solutions. All three of those elements need to work together for the benefit of your community. The second key component to my hope and vision for serving Washington County is that we have a more open and transparent county, and that you all have the opportunity to know what it is the county does and does for you. Thank you.
We just have a couple questions left of the evening. With the county seat in Hillsborough, Southeast Washington County voters feel left out of many of the policy questions and budget choices. What will you do to put Southeast Washington County cities on the front burner for transportation, workforce, and housing issues?
Well, it isn't enough that members of the board meet with just your mayor. It's incumbent upon the chair and also the other district commissioners to meet not only with your city council regularly, but also be available to the residents. And that means being more available to tell you about what the county level of service is to your communities, but working together. How, and one of the things I endeavored to do, should I have the honor of being elected to serve as chair, would be to meet with your mayor and city council and ask, what would you like from Washington County? How can Washington County help you? Sure, I have ideas, but I don't have all the answers. I can't speak for the community of Sherwood about what you need and what you think Washington County may be able to do to help you in your aspirations. But there are some ideas and also current programs that may be underway that perhaps you haven't had the opportunity to be familiar with. On the transportation front, I remember years ago, about 10 years ago, your mayor was very influential at the Washington County Coordinating Committee table as that body was going about redefining the set of roadways that defined the county arterials of significance, but also for collectors. And we do need to continue to revisit that and make sure that the needs, particularly of the southerly part of the county and this area, are better addressed. On workforce housing, that's an area that I'll have to explore further with your city council to learn more about what your needs are and what you would like to see done. And I think we've already talked about housing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's a good question. I think we've beat around it quite a bit tonight, and we can beat on it some more. The workforce housing is handled through our Health and Human Services Department of the county. The county has worked very closely with your city staff, and your mayors, and will continue to do that. And they all are welcome at the WCCC for their input to the WCCC. We don't limit that. Now, they can be there. They may not be sitting at the table, but they have representation at the table that they can work through and work with. It's very important we work with the mayors at WCC, and then the county chair also works with the mayors in a separate meeting for those very purposes. I do know that county staff spends a great deal of time with staffs of the cities on roadway issues, on health and human service issues, on workforce issues, and I see no reason why that would not continue and could even possibly be stepped up, and I'd be willing to see that happen. So it isn't that we aren't doing these things. These things are being done. Can we do them better? Absolutely, we can do them better. And can we do more of it? Absolutely, we can do more of it, as long as we don't cost you more money. I feel we all pay enough in taxes. I don't like to pay any more taxes than what we're already paying, but I can tell you your county works very hard at that. For example, one of the reasons we work with, again, through the nonprofits and with the cities is your county has fewer employees on a per capita basis of the county residency than any other county in the state at the last turn of the century. Turn of the decade, I'm sorry. That still holds true. We haven't seen anything new that says that is not true today. But when you think about the job that the county has to do, and it just turned 2,000 employees in the county, including the sheriff's staff in his office and all the deputies in the county. So we do a very good job. We want to continue to do it and do it better than what we've done in the past. Thank you very much.
All right, last question of the evening. What about your education, life experiences, and personal background helped prepare you to make you be a successful Washington County chair if elected?
Thank you. I like that question. That's a good question. I have run businesses all my life. Small businesses, started several small businesses, sold those businesses, bought bigger businesses. The largest business I ran for 9 years was White Farm Equipment Company, where I had 11,000 employees, 2 manufacturing facilities, 6 distribution facilities, and over 1,500 dealers in Canada and the U.S. That's a lot to say grace over. I have the experience to manage the $1.4 billion budget of Washington County, and have helped do so over the past 20 years. I want to continue to just do that and continue to run it well for your benefit and not at your expense, but at saving you money as we progress to do that. So my business background has been very extensive. I have run everything from ice cream stores to heavy industry to Wendy's International, and so it's quite varied. My education is University of Chicago, Jefferson College, and then of course in the U.S. Navy before I went to college. So it's quite varied, quite wild, and I have a very interesting life because I have done so many different things, and I continue to read regularly. I read a lot. And I want to continue to do that, and will continue to do that. I do get out into the county and in my district quite a bit now. I've gone out to Manning and places further out west like Timber, where they never even seen a Washington County commissioner. And the first time I went out there, they all came packing, and they were very clear, we don't need the government out here. And but we were friendly, and we worked through that. And now I go out, if they come packing, they're not brassing them around and showing them to me. They're very friendly, and we get along, and we work well together. I have had a career of working well with people. I don't think you'll find anybody in the county who dislikes me for something that I have done. At least I've never heard of it. And it wouldn't be surprised with as many employees that we have that we don't have somebody who may not be happy. But my idea is to always work along, get along, listen, and work with people. And I'm very good at doing that and have done it all my life. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. I've already spoken a little bit about my upbringing in the Air Force, but also the fact that I worked in high tech, both for large and small scale businesses, primarily managing business units that developed, marketed, and supported software products, most recently at Intel in Hillsborough for over 10 years. It was very exciting work, but I like to think that each one of us takes stock of our lives at different points. And my last few years at Intel, I was traveling the globe constantly, and I found that that was getting in the way of my serving a very important meeting a very important personal goal of contributing to my community in a significant, but more importantly, in a sustained manner. So I discussed it with my husband, and we chose as a family that I would step back from that and figure it out. I worked as a community advocate for 2 years, serving on a transportation committee at Metro, as well as being very active with the Committee for Community Involvement of Washington County and my local CPO, CPO 7. And with all of that, I was asked to run for election in 2006. There was an open seat on the county commission as well as an open seat on the Metro Council. And I chose to pursue the Metro opportunity given my primary interest in land use and transportation planning, as well as the fact that there was a competent candidate running for the county commission seat that was open that I wanted to support. Working in public office, working for government is not like working in the private sector. Government doesn't get to pick its customers. There are also tremendous numbers of rules that we have to work with. So I respect that, and I know that I work for you. Thank you for your question. I'm sorry I didn't get to say all that I was hoping to say in that limited time. Thank you.
Thank you. As we end the evening, we always encourage everyone to get out and vote. And the last election, my daughter Delaney had just missed the opportunity to vote, and now she's a freshman in college, and I often think that they get kind of wrapped up in their own lives, but she asked me about a week ago exactly how she was going to be able to vote because she is kind of across water. So, you know, we kind of talked that out, but may we all remember how excited we were the very first time that we got to vote and that we go out and vote and take time to fill out our ballots. So thank you so much for your time and for your thoughtful answers. We do have issues and concerns here, and we're so thankful to have you both running. Good luck, and may you all please join me in a round of applause as thanks for having them here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Proud to be here with you. How many more have we got?
Yes.
What have we got? 6 more? 7 more? Kathryn?